Ladies, congratulations for Knocking.
Thank you.
So how does it feel that Knocking is being featured at the Sundance Film Festival this year?
It feels amazing. I mean, I'm thrilled. I mean, I couldn't even imagine premiere at Sundance. I mean, of course, it's a dream for me. Nice cat you have there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, there it is. Oh.
I have a cat too, and Cecilia as well.
Yes.
We cat people.
Yeah. No, here.
Yeah. I have two cats, but they my window's closed, so they can't run outside right now.
Okay, good. But yes, I mean, sorry. Of course, it's amazing. I'm very happy.
Well, that's actually excellent to hear. I know it's crazy times right now, but you have to cover Sundance while being in Sweden. But that's new for everybody.
Yes, exactly. I said to another person that we had this Sundance orientation for the directors last Friday, and it was so nice to meet everyone because suddenly you feel that like you're in the same boat as everyone. So I mean, we just have to deal with this. And it's amazing that they have the festival, for sure.
Absolutely. So for each of you, what attracted you specifically to a project like Knocking?
Well, I came across, it's loosely based on a short novel. And when I read it, I felt that it was so, even though it's a small story, it's very universal. I think that many people can identify with Molly and how Molly gets treated by the society. And also it's the topics, it's a lot of topics. It's grief and it's trauma and it's loneliness and everything packed in this 1 hour and 80 minutes movie. So that attracted me. And also as a filmmaker, the challenge with such a few locations and telling something a lot with the sound image. That was also very triggered to me to go in and do that.
What about for you, Cecilia?
Well, first of all, for me, it was, before knowing what to do, it was to work with Frida again, because we worked in one short movie before, and that was great. So this felt exciting when she called me. And then when I read it, it was like a very describing of a woman's inner world in many levels, and it was in that loneliness, the describing in that loneliness and in the grief, that was like a world that attracted me, and a struggle, inner struggle. Yeah. That was the cat again. Another cat, maybe. Oh.
No, it's still the same cat.
Okay.
Cecilia, how did you get into the headspace of the character Molly? Because throughout the entire film, she seems to struggle with herself. So how did you get into that character, into that headspace?
Well, now I recall, because it was 1 year ago, but that we had this beautiful color equity. Do you remember, Frida?
Yes.
It was we colored Molly and the travel through the film. So we had different, yes, her temper, and that was really great. Because we didn't do it in how do you call it, from A to vad heter det, Frida? Inte i vi gjorde den inte från början till slut. Jag kan inte det ordet.
No, it wasn't a continuity in the shooting.
No,
it was, I mean, every time
we jumped here and there, and with the color scheme, schedule that we did, it was really great to understand where she was in her inner world, because it's getting worse and worse. so so and sometimes she's above and then she go down, and then so it was like finding that equalizer was really and then we had those conversations every day, and we talked very much, Frida and I, how we should like getting into the being of Molly, not like the showing of Molly. It's like the being. So,
well, I think that was an excellent performance. Now, Frida, when you approached a film like this, did you want to approach it sort of like a spiritual horror or a psychological thriller? Because you had like elements of both into this film.
Yeah, I would say psychological film for sure. I mean, I'm very into a character's mind. It's almost often that I start an idea from the character's mind and travel with that mind. So so yeah, what's going on in the brain is very interesting for me, and I think I would be a psychiatrist if I wasn't a filmmaker, for sure. Maybe I will be that after this.
After this. Talk about the setting itself, the apartment, because the apartment itself was very unique because it created a sort of like a claustrophobic type of feeling. How was that setting? And then Cecilia, how was it like acting in that type of setting?
you can start, Frida.
Well, claustrophobic is something that I always use in my films, from shorts to the documentary feature I did, and I think that's a thing that I'm very scared of, claustrophobic. So that I'm using for sure in everything. So that was very interesting for me to add this to this film, and yes, I think also that that created a good or bad feeling for Cecilia, because I think that you also felt very claustrophobic in that apartment, and that it was adding something to your performance as well, right?
Yes, it was a very not so cozy apartment she lived in, but it was I always think of Hannes, the cinematographer.
Yeah, the
photograph. He was like he was incredible, really, because I always said that it was like he wasn't there. It was like he was in my face all the time, between my legs, in my back, while sleeping, everywhere. But it was like he wasn't there. It was very beautiful. So no, it was a nice being there with you all, but not in the mind of Molly, it was always like chaos. Yeah.
Cecilia, for you, I want to say you're practically like in every scene of the movie. Did that prove to be challenging for you, that you were almost like 100% of the movie?
Yes, it was, but it's kind of not something. It's not something you think of while you're doing it, in a way, because it's like you're in the journey. So, but it was interesting because it was very special to feel that it was your perspective of mind that was showing everything. Also, in the way that Frida chose to put the camera on me in all those different modes she experimented with through the movie. So it was like that it followed my Molly's and my inner world. So that was very special. And
I remember that one time that we had supported actors, but every time we had that, you said, oh, it's so nice to talk to someone.
Oh yes, you can talk to someone.
Yeah.
But I know also that it was one time that Hannes followed another character out, and you both said, no, we can't do that. You have to, because you have to be in this in this world, and that was where I remember that, because it was like, vad heter ansvar?
Responsibility,
Like responsibility of the world. Always.
Yeah, and Molly's perspective all the time.
Yeah. So
I want to talk about one of the greatest scenes out of the film. Well, there was a couple great scenes, but you used a Snorri cam where basically you attach the camera to the actor. Frida, why did you just decide to do that type of those cinematic shots for the film? Because that was quite unexpected.
Yeah, well, because it is Molly's perspective, the whole journey, the whole film. I felt that the camera should be with Molly. I mean, what Molly feels, the camera feels. So the camera or the visual has its own journey together with Molly. So in the start, it's very settled and a healthy camera, or what you would say. And in the end, when she peaks, and she becomes this paranoia, I felt I had seen it somewhere, this Snorri camera. I thought that is her emotion here. We should try that. And Hannes, the DOP, we didn't have, I mean, it's a low budget, so we couldn't afford all this expensive gears. So he built things himself. That's a film itself. How did that? And so yeah, I mean, I was worried that in a way Cecilia would take even more responsible. I mean, not only acting but also the camera work. But I mean, she was amazing. She did a great job.
I gave myself good angles, so that was okay.
Yes. You did.
Cecilia, what was it like to put on that camera? You know, a lot of us will never experience, you know, putting on and filming ourselves but what was it like for you?
It was very heavy. Yeah. And it was very technical. So it was like doing two jobs I have a history as a dancer, so I remember that, oh, now I can use some of my my skills here, because it was like you had to be very technical and don't care about it, and at the same time it was like and it was heavy. So but it was very fun. I never done that, and maybe I will never do it again, but it was very fun. But it was very big, so you had to like it was like having something very big to control, and a responsibility. Yes.
Frida, was it difficult to direct Cecilia through the Snorri cam?
It was never difficult to direct Cecilia. I mean, she never plays false. She never acts false. It was more like I was waiting for this scene. I mean, this is her, you know, this is where she goes wild. So I would just release her in this scene. And the challenge was to hold back before this scene. I mean, not too much. I mean, sometimes she was, I have to go, you know, she wanted to push it a bit. And I said, no, we have to wait, because we need that journey. So that's why I came up with this color system as well. You just, you know, now you're red. You're so red. So that was a good conversation. I mean, we could have.
Excellent. And Cecilia, this is your first narrative feature film. How was that overall experience, and what was the most difficult scene that you actually have to do? I'm guessing it's probably the finale, right?
You mean in
I mean,
the...
Frida.
Ah,
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Cecilia has done narratives before.
Yeah. I mean, this is your
Oh,
director.
I would say actually it's the opposite. I thought it was I thought when it was really action, it was easier. You knew the direction very clear. It was more difficult when it was just Cecilia alone, and it was before like the third knocking. I mean, how, like I said, how much should she hold back, and how much should she? I mean, it was a balance. Tiptoeing thing for me as a director. How much? It's too much. It's too little. That was the big challenge. And of course, it was a challenge because it was only 18 days that we shot. So it was stressful, of course. But I'm not. I discussed that with Cecilia. I'm not sure it was going to be better. Maybe there was. I mean, maybe this was good in a way. It was. I mean, it was like a nightmare that we all went into for 18 days, and it was. I mean, maybe that was the best result.
Well, I think it was an excellent movie. So let me wrap it up with one more question for both of you, because we are obviously speaking via distance on Zoom because of the crazy times that we're actually living right now. But how are you staying sane and creative during times like this today?
Yes, try to meet at least 5 people a day outside. In real life, I think. But I mean, in terms of my work, I develop 2 other narrative features right now. So I'm keeping up of writing and developing those. So I'm doing fine.
What about for you, Cecilia? How are you keeping creative and sane right now?
Well, I'm taking long walks, and I think the time has become different, the time in itself. So in a way, it's popping up things that I don't think should have been popping up if it hasn't been like this right now. So that's creative in a way.
That is an excellent answer. Well, ladies, hey, thank you very much for carrying this conversation with me. I wish that I would have met you in person, watching this film at the Sundance Film Festival in the United States, but we have to do what we could actually do. So this was a terrific movie, and I am glad that I actually watched it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank
Thank you.
you.